taxes, insurance, and death. Those may be the only three things that we know we got to pay for these days. We'll talk about one of those on this episode of The Crude Truth.
In 1901, at Spindletop Hill near Beaumont, the future of Texas changed dramatically as, like a fountain of fortune, thousands of barrels of oil burst from the earth towards the sky. Soon, Detroit would be cranking out Model Ts by the millions, and America was on the move, thanks to the black gold being produced in Texas. Now, more than a century later, the vehicles are different, but nothing else has truly changed. Sure, there may be many other alternative energy sources like wind and solar and electric. But let's be honest, America depends on oil and entrepreneurs, and if the USA is truly going to be independent, it has to know the crude truth.
NAPE is a proud sponsor of The Crude Truth. Be sure to register for the NAPE Expo 2024, February 7th through the 9th at the George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston, Texas. Hurry and register today. NAPE, where deals happen.
This episode is brought to you by LFS Chemistry, committed to being good stewards of the environment and providing the tools so you can be too. NAPE Expo, where deals happen. Air Compressor Solutions. When everything is on the line, Air Compressor Solutions is the dependable choice to keep commercial business powered up. Sandstone Group. Exec Crew. Elevate your network, elevate your knowledge. Oil and Gas Workers Association. Pecos Country Operating. Fueling our future.
Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever it is that you are tuning in to watch, download, or just listen to this episode of The Crude Truth. I cannot thank you enough. It is just always great to have all the listeners out there. If you have any questions about today's episode, our previous episode, or future episode, please send me an email, let me know, and we'll get those questions answered. Today, as in my teaser, I talked about taxes and death, but I also threw in insurance because as we are in the fall season, insurance always becomes the new thing here in November, which is, hey, have you re-upped your insurance, this, that, and the government, for whatever reason, is telling us that November is that magic time. And for my listeners out there, I'm using quotations, that we have to get health insurance. So I brought on just an amazing expert, Dallas's own Arinn Lovett with Lovett Insurance. Arinn, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you this morning?
A little busy, but I cannot complain. And as in pre-production, you've already known I've already messed up a couple of times. We've already had to retake, and so I don't know. I'm just so excited. When you talk about insurance, you kind of just get a little flustered. At least I guess I do, because I don't understand it at all. And you have been blazing a trail, teaching people about insurance, that it's not this terrible thing or this thing that, we have to have. It's like, hey, what are all the benefits? And so anyway, I'm rambling on. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, man. So you have Lovett Insurance, and you're here in Dallas. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. And so tell me a little bit about the insurance game and what you're up to over there.
So health insurance is, you're right, it's a tricky subject. A lot of people don't like to talk about it. They get flustered because they don't understand it. And I get that. I was that same way. I started the insurance field 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. And when I decided to start, I decided I'm going to work for myself instead of go work for some agency or some company. I knew I could do this on my own. I don't know where that came from. God, maybe. I don't know. But so I've always felt like I was called for something bigger, and I've always had a heart for people. So I think that's how insurance came about, is I like to speak up for the people who can't speak for themselves. I like to blaze my trail. I like to help people. And ultimately, I want to help change the world, however that is. So I found insurance. Honestly, I came across it by Googling what's something I can do to be self-employed that doesn't require a lot of overhead. Insurance popped up, and I thought, I'm pretty smart. I can figure it out. And if it doesn't work, I'll just go a different route. That's how I even got into insurance to begin with.
Googling just to show what's going to be an inexpensive entrepreneurship, insurance popped up.
Yep, exactly.
I would have never guessed. And you talk about, you brought up something I didn't think about. So yeah, most people have to go through another agency or something like that when they're getting their licenses and all that kind of, is that in health insurance, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I've got a buddy that's very successful now that I think about it. And but he had to start. I remember when we were in college many years ago, it was like, hey man, I gotta talk insurance with you. And so for you to literally Google it, and you talk about your passion to help other individuals. That is what healthcare is supposed to do, is it not?
It is.
Well, so tell me about it. It's like, because here we are, and I asked you off of air, and here we're approaching November. And it's like, that seems to be the time when you got to like either renew it or you're even able to get into a new insurance plan. Is that true?
Yes. Yes and no. So there are many options to get health insurance, whether it be individually or you're a part of a group. Majority of Americans get insurance through their work, so they don't even ever think about it. They don't have to think about it. They always think, oh, my work's insurance is the best out there. This is the best plan possible. And they just take it. Right. And I think that's, some is, some isn't. I think it's just a lot of people just don't know.
Right.
But if you're going at it individually and you're not provided insurance through your workplace, there is an open enrollment period the government has. It's November 1st through December 15th. The last few years it's been extended to January. But that is for marketplace plans. I like to call them public plans. So government-assisted plans is what it is.
Okay.
Now, there are such things as private health insurance plans, too.
Okay. So there's a difference between a government-assisted plan, a private plan, and what you get at work plan.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So I call it private, public, and then work or group, whatever you want to call it. So a private plan you can get anytime throughout the year. But there's going to be certain things they're not going to cover, and almost all of your private plans are going to be underwritten. So if you have any major pre-existing conditions, if you're pregnant, a lot of them don't cover maternity, things like that, they're not going to accept, and they're not going to pay for.
That's a harsh, crude truth right there.
It is a harsh, crude truth. But the reasoning being, so let's back up just a little bit and talk about what most people know as the marketplace. So those are going to be your major carriers, such as like Blue Cross Blue Shield. You have Aetna, United Healthcare, Cigna, Friday. I mean, there's 88 different carriers.
Right.
So hundreds of plans to search from. Those are going to be, the government's made it out to where it has to have the 7 essential health benefits. And I don't know them all off the top of my head, but the main one is they got to cover maternity. They have to cover pre-existings. If you're in the middle of cancer treatments and you get a new plan on the marketplace, your new plan is going to pick it up. They have to. It's mandatory. Mental health is going to be another big one that they cover, and they have to. So those are 3 big, or drug and alcohol abuse as well.
Oh, wow.
So those are big things.
Yeah.
Now, if you go the private route and they're going to be underwritten, those are the things, majority they don't cover.
Wow.
But on hindsight 2020, if you look at the premiums and the cost differences of the plans, private plans are significantly cheaper. They're significantly cheaper because they take out the whole, we're paying for everybody to have kids and all their babies. We're paying for all the pre-existings. They're taking out a few of these things, which is allowing them to bring their premiums down, which helps out people that are like self-employed.
Right.
Who don't get offered work insurance, things like that. Yeah.
Wow. And then with the private ones, and I'll have a question out there that I'll ask for all my lady listeners is, if you go private and then you decide that you want to get pregnant, can you add that to the policy in the middle of the year?
No.
No.
So what I tell my clients is, if you end up getting pregnant or it's planned, we need to put you on a marketplace plan.
Okay.
Because a marketplace plan or public plan, I like to call them public plans, they're going to cover you and baby. They're going to cover maternity. If there's any complications, cover pregnant, all the things that they're going to cover.
So would you still recommend for somebody to reach out to you if they just got a new job, they get that package in the mail that says, hey, here's the insurance plan that you can get through us? Are you still recommending people to reach out to you to make sure that that's the best plan for them? Because it might actually not be.
100%. Okay. Now, what I'm seeing more now is a lot of companies they're mandated now if, they need to supply health insurance benefits to their employees. Well, a lot of employers are just check marking the box. What I mean by that is not all of them are actually providing a good, robust plan to take care of their employees. They're just offering, health insurance to check mark the box to keep moving on and they don't get in trouble. I'm not saying all,
Right.
but I've seen quite a bit. And here's a great example, actually. And I've been working with, there's a company here. They're based out of California. Nope, Florida. They're based out of Florida. And then they have a new branch or whatever here in Texas. Well, a lot of these individuals would come to me separately because the insurance they offered to all the employers is a Florida-based plan.
Okay.
Being Florida-based, it doesn't work well in Texas. So ultimately, these people are paying in on their half $600-$700, which is half of what the plan is. Employer, if you have over 50 employees, has to cover half of the premium. But it doesn't cover anything in Texas.
Whoa.
It's considered a network.
Right.
So in that case, I have probably 15 of these employees individually on an individual plan.
Okay.
You can choose to opt out, but then when you go to the marketplace, that causes some things. So for example, these government-assisted plans, they'll give you a subsidy. I don't know if you've ever even heard of that.
No.
So it's based on your household income and your household size.
Okay.
So for example, these are real numbers because I ran them yesterday on a family of 3 making $114,000 a year still qualified for a subsidy of $386 a month that the government's giving them to put towards their health insurance costs.
Okay.
Now, if you have a job that offers benefits, you will not qualify for the subsidy. Therefore, your premium is going to be at 100%.
Well, that's kind of messed up. Wow.
So they're trying to make my own opinions here. I think they're trying to get everyone to be on kind of the same plan or employer-based plan, but that's not necessarily what's best for everybody or going to even help their family.
Right, and which is why I was asking, which is, should they reach out to you, being an insurance professional that you are, that I can't agree with you, or I can't disagree with you at all, that, when you look at the cost of insurance every month, it's about 6% of your income is when I've kind of figured it out to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, I feel like the government wants that 6% every month. And it's so different than college, what do you call it? The student loans.
Yeah,
That's now a government entity.
Mm-hmm.
And that interest rate is 6%. Yep. And you always joke about it that, the mob always wanted that little skim off the top. And I feel like the government's just taking that skim, more and more out of our paychecks every day. And so I can't disagree with you more I can't agree with you more that I do think the government would rather have us on a universal health care plan and charge us more taxes every month.
Bingo. You nailed that one on the head.
And well, this is the crude truth. And, like we were talking beforehand, it's like, this is my show and I can say what I want.
Yeah.
And so that's truly what I think. That's the end game goal here. You looked at Bernie Sanders in 2016 and 2020, what he was pitching for universal health care. And then I'll even go back even a little bit further to 2012 when President Obama ran against Senator Mitt Romney. And healthcare had not come into law yet. But while Senator Romney was governor of Maine, he had created a healthcare system there in Maine for the entire state that worked pretty well, to what I understand, as far as that goes. And so I think the bureaucracy of Washington, D.C., healthcare was going to get approved no matter what, whether it was a Republican in office or a Democrat in office. That was going to go through, and it would have been a feather in whoever's side of hat it was. And so but again, that's just my own little, tinfoil hat moment there.
Now, as you brought up a good topic going on currently is universal healthcare for all. My own opinions on this, being the one in the field, knowing these plans, a lot of people, Canada is a great example. Okay. They're on a universal healthcare. And a lot of people are like, well, we just need to be like Canada, health insurance for all. Okay. But what these people don't realize is their taxes are higher. The housing market's higher. They're getting their money some way or another.
Right.
So by providing universal health care, they also, I have some Canadian friends, and they say the wait times to see certain doctors is longer. You only get certain prescriptions. Like, there are limitations to what that even means.
Wow.
And so there's so many people here in America that I hear a lot more is healthcare should just be free. It should just be free. We need to be like Canada or some of these other countries that do that.
Right.
I don't think you realize how much you're paying for it some way or another. It's not just free. Nothing in life is free.
No, nothing in life is free. And then people talk about it. It's like if you're having a baby, the doctor's not going to stop you from having a baby at the hospital. Like you're going to have the baby, or if it's a life, they're going to sew you up. If it's like, so they can't turn you down. But now, yeah, they're probably going to bill you, but nobody can turn you down for an emergency. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And, one thing I wanted to also talk about is that you own your own insurance company, as you talked about in the beginning, that you did this all on your own. That's the true definition of an entrepreneur. I mean, and other from the fact that you literally Googled which is genius, by the way. I mean, because that's all we worry about as an entrepreneur is overhead. How much is this going to cost? How much is that going to cost? So other than Googling I love it. What's an inexpensive, trade to start or company? What was it about the passion of helping others and wanting to break out on your own? What was it that was driving you to break out?
So yes, going down that route. I'm sixth generation farmer from Mexico. All my family still farm and ranch. I moved up here almost 5 years ago, all on my own. That's a whole nother story in itself as to how I even got here. And I have 3 different degrees. They're all random things, from teaching to agriculture to cutting hair is a backup plan. I can take anywhere I want. But I'm 32 now. Something about when I turned 30, I kept running into the same circle of I gave 150% no matter what job I had to my employer, my job. And I always kicked ass, but I always was upset and going home feeling empty.
Right.
Because I felt like what was promised for me giving in return it was never matched.
Yeah.
So something about turning 30, I don't know what it was. I just thought, and once again, like God just spoke to me like, I can do this on my own. I'm 200% capable of doing something on my own.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do it. So that's when I pulled up Google and I came up and I thought, I don't know anything. I didn't even know the difference in your deductible, your max out of pocket, because I was in the category of I always had health insurance through either my dad or an employer.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, let's just give it a shot. And I gave it a shot, and then I became really good at it really fast.
Very
and
fast.
It stuck.
Yes.
And so I thought, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing until God sends the next. Like this, I don't truly, I believe this is a vehicle to something greater.
Okay.
This is my vehicle getting there.
But
I don't know what that is yet.
Though. But
Yes.
Already, which is a great thing in itself. And you said it, you have risen the ranks as far as insurance goes very quickly. I mean, you're 2 years into this, and you have been giving it your all, and you're seeing the return. I know as an entrepreneur myself, I think that's the most important thing is seeing that return. Because sometimes I know, being in the oil and gas industry, sometimes we can get a little discouraged for sure in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not just quite see what's going on. It's about the long game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're doing, you've kind of just continued to do this, just go up and continue to succeed. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight is your way of finding your next clients, the people that work with you, that have now stuck with you for 2 years, and that you feel like are going to be with you for a long time in what y'all would call a book of business. Can you share a little bit about that and about how that may be able to help others out that are, that are out on their own trying to, even in the sales world? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I decided if I was going to go into sales, I never wanted to do a cold call. I based how I was going to approach selling insurance, how it's been approached to me. I don't like salesmen. I don't like trying to be sold something. I think you understand. I think everyone understands what I mean by that. The people come up to you, say, this is great. You need this, push, push, push. Like, no, don't push me. If you push me, I'm definitely going the other way just because that's just my nature. Right. And so, okay, well, how am I going to build a book of business or clientele really fast without cold calling really cold calling?
Yeah.
If you look at an insurance across the board, a lot of agents, that's how they build their book of business. Well, I had a network.
Yeah.
I'm more of a customer service based person than I am a salesman. So I would go to about 15 to 20 networkings a week.
Okay.
For a year.
Wow.
It was exhausting.
Yeah.
So exhausting. But I got Lovett Insurance known really fast, and that was what I needed to do. I needed brand recognition. I needed name recognition. And I was one of my previous carriers that I had. They were wanting to bring people in, put me more up in the office position, teach others how to do that, duplicate yourself, right? That's how you build a team.
Yes.
But I can't. When it comes to networking and meeting people one-on-one and doing kneecap to kneecap, let's get old school with that sales term.
Yeah.
I can't duplicate who Arinn Lovett is.
Yeah.
I can teach you how to be, what to say to people, but ultimately, if you can't talk to people well and you don't have like an aurora or something that attracts people to you, you're never going to make the sales.
You know, you're saying something that's the crude truth about it. Sometimes some of the best salesmen don't truly make the best teachers or or managers, so to speak, because they usually take like the best person and go, okay, hey, he hit all the numbers, he'll be able to then go do it over here, rather than leave that guy in the field to be the example, just to say, hey, if you got any questions, you know what, ask him, see, and maybe there might be something there, because I do think you can kind of pick and choose from all these different individuals on how to be the best person that you're going to be in the sales industry. And no, definitely, you know, sales is definitely not the most fun thing ever. And again, you know, getting back to my buddy, I'm just remembering all these things. You're absolutely right. He was always, you know, knocking on doors, you know, doing this and doing that. I have another good friend named JP Warren that's also very good at networking. And I think the networking is your net worth is something that really helps out probably in what you're doing a lot. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. So the more people you go out and meet, and you got to be genuine about it. People can tell, like if you're going, and I actually have told a lot of agents like that I didn't even associate with, but I'd go into networking groups. People come up to me, and I'm going to tell you this, my biggest pet peeve is when someone comes up to me and they instantly give me their business card and they instantly ask, what do you do? And all they do is try to pitch me. And I'm like, don't pitch at me, bro.
No pitch. I love it.
I want to know who you are.
Yeah.
Because if I don't know who you are and you don't know who I am and we don't already connect on a mutual agreement that we like each other, we're never going to do business together. That's just the crude truth of it.
That is absolutely, yes.
So to bring in agents, whether you're trying to build an agency or whether you're trying to duplicate or learn or teach whatever it is, and no matter what field it is for salesmen, teach them to want to help people. Because people catch on to that. If you're just trying to chase the dollar, and you can get the dollar, you can build it really quickly, but then you're not there for them when it comes to renewals or whenever they can't get into a doctor or whenever their insurance sends them a big bill or whatever the case, and you're not there for them for the customer service aspect, you're never going to grow.
Wow. You've really hit the nail on the head about just trying to, talk to people. Here in Texas, I do know whenever we have a service company or a sales guy come, it's like, if they don't want to just sit there and chit chat, lack of better words, let's talk, let's get to know each other a little bit before they go into the pitch. It's automatically this whole, hey, I'm not interested, because building a true relationship with your service providers helps out in the long term, because you know that those are the guys that are going to be there through the thick, through the thin. And also that, hey, man, you can kind of grow together. And that's also something exciting when you can sit there and go, hey, we're doing this together. And, oh, hey, by the way, and in your industry, it would be like, oh, hey, we're about to have a baby together. Oh, hey, we're going to do a retirement now. And so I think that's very cool that you're like, hey, let's just talk to each other. Let's get to know each other. And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
so that's one of the ways, and I think networking is truly a great way to network. But I can't imagine going to 15 networking events. I mean, in the oil and gas industry, we got a lot, but 15 a week, that's a full-time job just right there in itself.
It is. And you throw in, I do all my own social media. I do all my own marketing. I do everything.
Oh my God.
I don't have an assistant. I'm the admin. I'm the everything.
Oh my. Oh.
And I don't know. I'm not your statistics person who's trying to hit my goals quick. I'm just, if I take care of the next person, if I take care of you, if someone refers you to me, I take care of you good, you're going to refer me to someone else. So every person that gets my number or comes my way, which my business is 100% been referral based.
Yes.
100%. I truly know every single one of my clients. And if I don't know Bob in Michigan who's calling me, I feel like I already know Bob because Sally in Oklahoma gave him such a good referral that we already feel like we know each other.
Golly.
And then at that point, business is easy.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I already have their trust instantly. You still got to work at it.
Mhm.
But if you look at every single client or customer or patient, whatever your industry is, as in you're going to give them 150% of you, even if you don't know the answer, you're going to find out the answer and you're on their side. You are their health advocate.
Yes.
You're there with them. You've got them. Because tell me how many other health insurance agents you know that are there for them through life, no matter what.
Well,
You know any?
No, I don't know any.
There isn't very many.
No.
Not to toot my own horn, but that's, I think, also what's put me in a different position. And I knew from the very beginning, this is how I want to grow.
Yeah.
And it's going to be harder. I'm not going to get instant results as like I would be door knocking or cold calling, but it's the long haul. I'm in it for the long game.
Right. But you talk about your it's not instant. I do want to highlight that you have done such a great job, whether it is your marketing, whether it's your personality, whether it's your social media. You have been able to take something that a lot of people in the industry can't do in 2 years. And that's something else I wanted to highlight is that you've been able to build this up in a way to where you've got people that are, my age or older that like can't do what you're already doing. And so that was, one of the main reasons why I wanted to invite you to come on, because it's those skills being an entrepreneur that are allowing you to do these things and that drive that you have. I mean, you talk about, I don't want to belittle you at all. And you were saying that you're just from New Mexico. Like, no, you're a 6th generation rancher, for goodness sakes. And those are some of the hardest working. Those are, I put them right there with the oil and gas, oil field hands that they run America, and that runs through you.
Yeah.
So that work ethic is there. And so I want to say that real quick.
Oh, thank
That
you.
work ethic
Thanks.
is there, Aaron. There's no ifs or buts about it. I cannot thank you enough. You mentioned social media. Where are you at and how can people find you?
I am across, I just joined X, I guess it used to be Twitter.
X. Oh, okay. I was like, what is X? Okay. Yeah.
But I saw you can find me on any social media platform.
Okay.
I think my largest growing platform has been Facebook.
Okay.
So I have my personal, and then I have Lovett Insurance. You can be my friend on either one. And then I have 2 Instagrams. That's the big one. TikTok, Snapchat. I mean, I'm on all of them.
2 Instagrams.
2 Instagrams,
Man,
2 Facebooks. It's a lot. That's a full-time job.
That's a lot. I don't know my password on Facebook, and then my producer keeps wanting me to get an Instagram, and I'm like, I can barely keep up with Twitter, X, and LinkedIn, and because you talk about how you're like always trying to be busy, and you're doing this. Like sometimes people ask me, why do I post after 11 o'clock? I'm like, because that's the only time I can literally sit in front of a computer and put a thought together.
But there's a lot of viewers on at 11 o'clock too.
What?
Well, because they're home. They're at the end of the day. Well, they should.
I should be asleep at that time, but being an entrepreneur, sleep is that's just an extra thing that you get every now and then, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, and then I have my own landing page as well, so you can find me anywhere.
Okay.
Really.
Well, what's your landing page?
www.lovett-insurance.com.
I didn't know that there was a private and the
There's
group.
lots of options.
and how technically the private can actually save you money more than, because I think we're taught since insurance has become more of a mandatory thing. It's not mandatory anymore, but that the government insurance is the best way to go. But it sounds like it's not always the best way to go, and you need a health expert like Arinn Lovett to really guide you in the right spot. So I can't thank you for that, but then also your hard work and sharing with us about networking and how it is that you've been able to thrive in this in such a short time. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you. And if anybody out there has any more questions for Arinn, please reach out to her, and we will see you here next time on another episode of The CRUDE TRUTH.
Again, thank you to our sponsors, LFS Chemistry, NAPE Expo, Air Compressor Solutions, Exec Crew, Oil and Gas Workers Association, Pecos Country Operating.
The easiest way to start your own podcast and TV show? Real News Communications Network. Stand out from your competition. Produce streams of high-quality social media content. Become a thought leader in your industry. With RNCN, you get to be the host. We handle everything else. Tour one of our 3 locations in Dallas, Fort Worth, and the Colony. Call 972-402-6333 or visit launchashow.com to find out more.